What's going on, everybody? You have Tone here, bringing you guys my team builder and battle for the PCL Season 2, week number 3. This week we are taking on my good friend Danza of the Token Minorities and the coach of the Los Angeles Nidokings. And before I go any further, if you did enjoy the video, feel free to leave a like, comment, hit that subscribe button if you guys are new. Helps me out a lot, and supports my channel, and I really appreciate all the support I've gotten so far throughout the start of this PCL season. So once again, we're taking on Danza's LA Nidokings. We are both coming off of strong week 2 wins. We're both 2-0 heading into our week 3 matchup, and he has a very scary team consisting of the Thunderous Incarnate Hippowdon, Darmanitan, Alolan Muck, Comfey, Gogoat, Deoxys Speed, Excadrill, Terrakion, Cofagrigus, and the Mega Blastoise, with his Z users being the Gogoat and the Terrakion. So right away, just looking at the matchup, there were a few instances where I just did not like a few of the mons he did have on the screen. The sand, it wasn't even just the sand that was the biggest aspect. Excadrill in and of itself is a huge problem for my team, considering the combination of Earthquake and Iron Head just destroys most of my defensive Pokemon. Clefable, Nihilego, Incineroar, Aegislash, and everything else just, aside from that, just doesn't want to take an Iron Head, which is very, very annoying. But on top of that, outside of the Excadrill, Terrakion is also a big problem. My main way of dealing with the Terrakion is my Aegislash, and hoping he's not like a setup variant. Cofagrigus is also a problem too, because it can deal with my Mega Gallade pretty easily, all things considered. And not to mention, he does have the Alolan Muck, which can become a problem for my defensive mons, especially if it's like a curse variant. Knockoff is always problematic, and the like. And not to mention Deoxys Speed. While Deoxys Speed isn't the strongest Pokemon, the fact that it is the fastest Pokemon in existence, excluding abilities, I have no way of outspeeding a modest max speed Deoxys Speed. Like, there's absolutely no reason for him to be timid, because of the fact that my fastest Pokemon is Crobat, and I would have to be like Scarf Crobat or something like that to want to outspeed that thing. So instead, I decided to go a more bulkier option. It's what I'm accustomed to doing. Try to my best to prep for his team as best as I possibly could with the resources available to me. So jumping right into the team right away, first off we have the Mega Gallade with Substitute, Drain Punch, Ice Punch, and Poison Jab, with max attack, 244 speed, and the rest in HP. This is enough to outspeed his Terrakion, and everything slower than that isn't Scarf. So the idea with Mega Gallade is to try to get up a Substitute on something that I can immediately pressure out, something like the Terrakion. If he's not Choice Scarfed, I can pressure that thing out. If he brings the Cofagrigus, I can sub up on that. Try to get a Poison with Poison Jab is my best way of, well, it's not my best way, but getting the Poison Jab off, trying to fish for the poison on that would be very, very helpful, especially if he's not running like Rest with Chesto Berry or Rest Sleep Talk, Pain Split, whatever the case may be. And then Ice Punch I have here for stuff like the Hippowdon, the Gogoat, the Thundy. And then Drain Punch is nice to get back some recovery if I'm behind a sub, get some health back, and allows me to make more subs. I also forgot to mention that Poison Jab is my best way of dealing with the Comfey. So pretty much nothing else to say about this set. It's just a very straightforward offensive sub 3 attack set. Pretty substandard. I know Styx will get a real charge out of this set for sure, because he's a big advocate of sub 3 attacks Mega Gallade, if anything. So moving on, we have our Clefable here with leftovers, Soft Boiled Calm Mind, Moonblast, and Knockoff with 252 HP, 172 defense, and 84 special defense. The special defense with the HP investment is enough to avoid being 2-KO'd by Life Orb Thunderous's Thunderbolt from full, and I can proceed to go fire off a Moonblast, heal up to a Soft Boiled. But the main idea with this set is to try to set up a Calm Mind on something that I can force out, particularly the particularly Terrakion, and hope it's not like a bulky, like he doesn't get like he's not Bandit or Swords Dance. Like, I could run Unaware in this case, but I really felt Magikarp would be a lot better because it does help me mitigate any potential toxics it might take, and like mitigate the sand from the Hippowdon, so there's also that to take into account. And then I have the fourth one with Knockoff. Knockoff is primarily here to knock off the Alolan Muck's Figgy Berry or whatever 50% berry that it decides to run. Knock that thing off, prevent it from going for Recycle to get it back if it's a Curse variant, and essentially just get rid of its main way of recovering health against my team. With the premise trying to win in the late game with my Aegislash. So Knockoff Clef is really helpful in getting rid of items. Like I said, it gets rid of the item on the Alolan Muck. You have to be a bit more careful around the Terrakion since it's a Z user, and I don't want to give him a free +1 if I don't have to. And then Moonblast is just nice and spammable. I'm not really doing much to the Excadrill, but if he decides to go hard Excadrill on my Clef, I can at least try to knock off the potential Life Orb on the Excadrill, so that's also a very nice concept to have in that regard. So moving on, we have the Aegislash here with leftovers: Swords Dance, King Shield, Iron Head, Shadow Sneak. Essentially, this is the exact same moveset that I brought last week with some slightly different EVs. I just threw, instead of going max attack, I just threw some EVs into special defense. If I recall correctly, this is enough to let me take 2 Thunderbolts from Thundurus. I'm too KO'd by Life Orb Dark Pulse if he decides to go that route, or Expert Belt Dark Pulse I believe is also a roll. And the idea with my Aegislash is to try to get up a Swords Dance, pressure stuff like his Muck, his Frailer Mons, stuff like not even going just right on the list here. If I'm able to get up a Swords Dance, I can get off a big chunk of damage to something like Darmanitan, something like Thundy. Comfink has a pretty difficult time trying to set up Calm Minds, especially considering I can just go for an Iron Head and then blow that thing back. Same thing with Terrakion. Terrakion essentially needs Earthquake to do any significant damage to me, although Z Tectonic Rage will potentially knock me out. I don't remember the calc all the top of my head. More or less, but +2 Z Earthquake does knock out my Aegislash, so I didn't bother to try to invest in defense to try to take any particular hits in particular. So it's mainly just trying to set up a Swords Dance in front of the Thunders if it's not like a taunt variant, and then if I'm able to get up a taunt, weaken the Muck between the combination of my Clef with Knockoff and with that and the rest of my Mons, get some chip on that. I could potentially use that as setup fodder. I can King Shield on something like a Knockoff or any contact move, drop into -2 attack, and then get up another Swords Dance in its face, and potentially win in the late game with like a +2 or +4 Iron Head into +4 Shadow Sneak, which does do a ton of work against his team if I can weaken the Muck, as I mentioned. So next up we have our Seismitoad with leftovers with Stealth Rock, Earthquake, Toxic, and Protect. Just running a very straightforward max HP, max defense set. I was running a bit more special defense to act as a better way of taking on hits from stuff like Mega Blastoise, but I figured I'd try to leave that role in the hands of my Clefable, as if I'm able to get up a Calm Mind with my Clef, the Mega Blastoise won't be able to KO me unless he is packing the Flash Cannon, which literally would only be there for the hitting the Clef, to be perfectly honest, so I don't really see a need for him to bring Flash Cannon Mega Blastoise. But in any case, this is my my primary way of checking stuff like Terrakion. It lets me check the Excadrill. I get up rocks on stuff like Hippowdon. We would essentially trade rocks, and then I can Toxic down his team pretty essentially well. His poison immunities are weak to Earthquake, so I can wear down the Excadrill and the Alolan Muck fairly easily. Of course, the only thing I can't really do much to is the Thundurus, unless I'm able to Toxic that thing. Then I can Protect, stall out, get some leftovers recovery, while also weakening my Danza's team with toxic damage. So that's pretty much it for Seismitoad. Nothing there's not much else to say about that. Pretty straightforward set. Next up, we have the debut of Incineroar on my team. Originally, I did have Porygon Z in this slot instead of Incineroar, but looking at the matchup, I literally had nothing to... I didn't have a backup. I needed to have something to at least try to switch into Deoxys Speed. I didn't have that prior, as my only response was the Aegislash, and I don't want to go hard Aegislash considering it's my win con. So, threw on Iapapa Berry and Incineroar here, knock off Fire Blast, U-Turn, and Earthquake with max HP, 44 defense, 212 Spadef with a sassy nature. The HP and the special defense investment let my Incineroar take 2 Life Orb Modest Focus Blasts from the Deoxys Speed from full, and then I can activate my Iapapa Berry, knock off its item, potentially Life Orb, Focus Sash, who knows, and then I have Fire Blast to do more damage to stuff like the Hippowdon and the Excadrill without having to go for Flare Blitz and get that recoil damage, although I guess the recoil would help potentially put me in Iapapa range, but I don't want to risk it. U-Turn is nice for momentum, and then Earthquake we have here specifically to deal with the Alolan Muck, chip that thing down a little bit more. And then lastly, yeah, your eyes are not deceiving you, ladies and gentlemen, that is Blossom. I am not joking you. I went so far to try to build a team that actually included Blossom on the screen, because this was my actual primary response to the Excadrill, as I'm going to be relying on my side method to try to check everything not Excadrill, or at least not let it hard switch in. My Blossom will probably be treated in the same way. It's a bulky potential Quiver Dance Sweeper. I just threw that on there because I figured why not try to patch up this the special defense. So this is mostly physically defensive, max HP, 168 defense, and 88 in speed. If I recall correctly, the speed investment is enough to outspeed the... I kind of want to say it outspeeds the Darmanitan, or something along those lines. I think it's Darmanitan at +2, like non-scarfed, of course. Non-scarfed Darmanitan at +2, then at +3 I would outspeed everything except the Deoxys, and then, yeah, I'm not really trying to outspeed anything. The main idea behind Quiver Dance is to potentially, I don't want to get ahead of myself here, but this is just a potential win con, if anything, because the combination of Quiver Dance, Strength Sap is nice for weakening those physical attacks from the Excadrill, from Hippowdon, from Terrakion, preventing those things from potentially Sword Dancing for free in my face, and I get back sorry about that. I get back health with Strength Sap. I'm able to lower their attack stat at the same time, making it easier for my Blossom to take those physical hits, Quiver Dance up, and potentially get back even more health with Stab, Giga Drain, and then Hidden Power Ice is there for the Thundurus and the Go-Go, so I'm not hard-walled by that thing. So yeah, that's going to be it for the team builder. Hope you guys did enjoy, and without further ado, let's switch right on over to the battle and see how we did for week 3. Alright guys, so here we are with the battle against Danza and his Los Angeles Nidokings, and the first thing I see, there is no Cofagrigus, and I am so happy. Like, words cannot describe how thrilled I was when I did not see the Cofag on Danza's screen, and I was just blown away at the fact that my Gallade is now not pressured that badly by his team, because he didn't bring the Cofag. He brought pretty much what I expected, though. I was expecting the first 5 for sure. The toss-up obviously was either Mega Blastoise or the Cofagrigus. I guess he just valued the Mega Blastoise as it does get access to Dark Pulse to deal with my Aegislash. So there is that to consider. So without further ado, let's just jump right into the battle. Before I actually go into it, I also want to give a quick shout out to OP Jellison for recording my battles, and I also want to give a quick shout out to Joseph Games, who recorded the previous two Wi-Fi battles I had for week 1 and week 2, and record my Wi-Fi battles in general. And shoutouts to Judas, who genned my team, who's been genning my team for my Wi-Fi battles. So big shoutouts to those guys. So let's hop right into the matchup. I felt as though my best lead would be Seismitoad, as if he decided to lead off with his Apollon, we would just exchange rocks, and rocks are just really, really nice to get that chip damage off on stuff like Thundy, chip down the Alolan Muck, chip away at the Deoxys, pretty much its entire team. So let's just jump right into the battle and see how we fare. So, as I mentioned, I am going to lead off with my Seismitoad, try to get up my Stealth Rocks as early as I possibly can with this against Danza's team, as he is going to instead lead off with his Thundurus here. And I know 6 is going to love this turn 1 play. I'm going to click Protect. Big Avis sticks the Big Advocate of turn 1 Protect on water ground types, as he's going to reveal the Grass Knot. I had to scout for that. So now I'm going to switch out my Seismitoad, expecting him to go for another Grass Knot here, as I go out into my Incineroar, and Danza makes a fantastic play as I get the Intimidate off on the Thundurus. He's going to Volt Switch, expecting me to switch out my Seismitoad on the Grass Knot. So he's going to Volt Switch right on out there. He's going to go out into Kaz, which is his Apollon, which is not good for me because obviously I'm not going to want to stay in on the Hippowdon. I can't do much damage to this thing. I want to keep this thing around because this is my response to the Deoxys speed. So I'm going to U-turn right on out of there, as I'm going to go back into my Seismitoad to get up my rocks on the next turn, as he gets up his Stealth Rocks with his Hippowdon. So he reveals he's leftovers, so it essentially means he's not Smooth Rock. He's so I'm assuming he's not banking on Sand being his ploy outspeeding my team, but my team is pretty slow as it is. So I get up my own rocks as he goes out into his Mega Blastoise. As we takes the Sandstorm damage, he's going to Mega Evolve here. I believe I clicked Toxic this turn, because Toxic is nice to whittle down his Mega Blastoise, as this is his means of getting away his hazards, as he reveals Rapid Spin. I click Protect. Gets to get a little bit more chip damage off with the Sandstorm, and now he's going to go for the Dark Pulse here. I guess he expected me to switch. That was my guess. So I get the Toxic off on the Mega Blastoise, which is fantastic. Whittling that thing down, one less thing to worry about, and since this is his means of getting rid of my rocks, this means that his Excadrill is not Rapid Spin, so I'm assuming it's more of a Swords Dance 3 attacks variant with potentially Life Orb here. I'm going to Protect, get some more chip damage off on with the Toxic damage as he goes for Rapid Spin, expecting me to go get up my Stealth Rock, expecting me to get up rocks, not get up rocks, expecting me to attack him with Earthquake here. So now he's going to spin this turn, get rid of the rocks, but I'm going to get those rocks right back up, expecting him to want to try to spin them away this turn. So now this becomes a little bit of a rinse-repeat process here, as I'm slowly whittling him down with the Toxic damage, and he is going to switch out his Mega Blastoise, go out into his Thundurus, because he's seen 3 of my 4 moves now, so he has to figure that my 4th move would have to be Earthquake, or else my only way of dealing damage to the Mega Blastoise would be like Water Stab, whatever. So now I'm going to switch out my Seismitoad here, go out into my Incineroar, take the Stealth Rock damage. He is going to go for the Grass. I think he went for Grass Knot this turn. Yeah, he went for Grass Knot here. I was hoping this would be enough to put me in range of my Iapapa Berry, but it does not, sadly. So now I'm going to pull a double switch back into, not back inside, so I'm going to go and pull a double switch into my Clefable here as he goes for the Thunderbolt, and he unfortunately crits me, which sucks immensely because, as I mentioned in the Teambuilder, I did even my Clef to take 2 Thunderbolts from Thundurus, and he didn't even reveal Life Orb in this instance, so that made that crit suck a little bit more as he goes for another Thunderbolt, attempting to knock out my Clef. I'm going to make the switch out into my Seismitoad. I'm going to Protect here, get some leftover recovery back, as this is essentially a rinse-repeat process as he goes for the Grass Knot. So In this case, I think I'm now going to pull I'm going to pull a triple switch or quadruple switch. I don't remember how many switches I made here. I go back into my Incineroar here to like get my Papa Berry to activate, get myself back to over 50% with my Incineroar here, get the Intimidate off. He is going to Grass Knot here, and that's not going to do too much damage to my Incineroar. And now I figure at this point, I tried to go for a knockoff, I believe, I'm not sure, but he's going to Volt Switch out of my Incineroar, go out into his Mega Blastoise, take the Stealth Rock damage as I go for the knockoff, just trying to get rid of that thing's item. And here, I really, really wanted to go on the Aegis Slash on the Rapid Spin, but I couldn't risk him Dark Pulsing there. So he Rapid Spins, he crits me, doesn't matter, as I go for the knockoff, and I'm going to knock out the Mega Blastoise, but he did succeed in getting rocks off of his field, so I have to find the opportunity to get those rocks back up with my Seismitoad, as now the Thundurus is going to come back in, go for Thunderbolt, and revenge kill my Incineroar. So my best switching into the Deoxys speed is now gone. I go out into my Mega Gallade, because I know my Gallade can take any one hit from this thing, especially considering he does not show to be Life Orb. I'm assuming it's like Expert Belt or something along those lines. So I'm going to go for Ice Punch here, as he's going to Volt Switch out of my Mega Gallade. He's going to crit me again, which is very unfortunate, because this means that I can no longer take any one hit from the likes of his Excadrill or whatever the case may be. He goes on to his Hippowdon here as on my Ice Punch, and try to get some chip damage on that thing, and I'm actually going to get the freeze on the Hippowdon, which does suck, but I now am in a position where I have to Drain Punch the following turn, as he is actually going to pull a double switch out into his Alolan Muck this turn, as I go for the Drain Punch, because I need to get some health back on my Gallade. And that does a good chunk. It does close to 50% here. I get some health back, but unfortunately the Sandstorm damage is going to put Alolan Muck into a situation where he can activate its Ficky Berry and essentially get right back to full, more or less. So now I'm going to go Drain Punch again, as I do a bit more damage here. I couldn't let him just set up for free, as he's going to go for the Poison Jab, get some damage off on my Gallade. And from here, I'm going to take the Sandstorm damage. I'm thinking, okay, I can Drain Punch one more time, but he's actually going to reveal that he does pack the Shadow Sneak on the Alolan Muck, and he's going to knock out my Mega Gallade, which eventually sucks a lot. But it's fine. I get to go out into my Seismitoad here with his Mega Blastoise gone here. It means I get my rocks back up for free. He's gonna go out into his Thundurus. I get my rocks back up, and now my rocks are essentially here for the rest of the game, unless he's packing Double Spin with that Excadrill, but I seriously doubt he is with the makeup of the team that he brought. So I'm going to I'm not going to protect here. It made no sense to do so. I'm instead going to go out into my Clefable as he goes for the Grass Knot, get damage off get some damage off with my try to get some damage off with Clef, or try to heal up, or whatever the case may be. But this was essentially a sack at this point, because had it not been for that crit from earlier, I would have been able to heal up with my Clefable and essentially preserve for some time down the road. But now I'm going to go out into my Aegis Slash here, as he's going to Volt Switch this turn. And he's going to Volt Switch right out into his Alolan Muck, as I believe I go for a Swords Dance, because I know I can take any one hit from the Thundurus, as long as he didn't go for Dark Pulse and I didn't get flinched. That would have been the worst. But I get my Sword Stance up, I get to +2, and now I'm going to click Iron Head his turn, as he's actually going to reveal Taunt on the Alolan Muck. I thought he would try to recycle at some point, but it doesn't make sense that he didn't. He wanted to prevent me from trying to set up any further with my Aegis Slash, as I'm going to knock out the Alolan Muck with the Iron Head. So that is one big threat out of the way, as he is now going to go out into his Excadrill to try to revenge kill me. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm already at +2. I'm not going to try to let him set up for free on my switch. So I'm going to go for Shallow Sneak, and I'm going to get the crit, which sucks immensely for Danza, because +2 Shadow Sneak did not kill. I had to be at +4 to have a chance. So now he goes onto his Hippowdon, and he's frozen. So essentially, if I get the Iron Head roll this turn, I essentially win the game right here. But I don't get the roll. He thaws out as he goes for Earthquake and knocks me out. But let me just say that if I won the game because of that, that would have sucked immensely. Like, I would not have liked to win in that fashion because of a freeze from early on in the game. So now with my H/down, I'm going to go into my Blossom here, although I essentially should have went with the Seismitoad. I'm going to go for a Quiver Dance here because I'm thinking he would try to preserve us, and I played these next couple of turns pretty badly. I'm not going to lie. So he's going to go for the Whirlwind, prevent me from like setting up or whatnot. So he's going to Whirlwind me out into my Seismitoad. And I'm still thinking at this point that he's going to try to preserve this Hippowdon, potentially for differential purposes. So I'm actually going to go for Toxic here, expecting him to go out into Thunderous, because I had no way of touching it outside of Earthquake. But he's going to stay in here, take the Toxic, and he's going to go for the Earthquake, get some damage off on my Seismitoad. And now that I see his intention is to just sack off the Hippowdon, which I should have just attacked like 3 turns ago, I am actually going to take some necessary damage. That was a misplay on my part these previous few turns. I mean, just not going to taking down the Hippowdon here. But finally take down the Hippowdon this turn with the Earthquake. So Hippowdon goes down here, and now he gets to go get a free switch into his Thunderous. But the funny thing is, and I was telling myself this during the match, was the fact that even though it's looking like it's going to be a losing battle for me, there's still hope with Blossom, which I did not even try to consider here, as the Thunderous takes out my Seismitoad with the Grass Knot. And now it's Blossom against the world, or essentially Thunderous and Deoxys Speed. As he's going to go for Thunderbolt here, I'm thinking, okay, does he not have HP Ice? But in any case, whether or not he did, I'm just going to Quiver Dance here. It's literally my best bet right now. As I'm going to get the Quiver Dance, I'll get the +1. I'm obviously not going to do that much damage with any of my attacks. I don't want to reveal HP Ice yet. He's going to Volt Switch here, and I'm thinking, okay, if he had Taunt, he would have revealed it. If he had HP Ice, he would have revealed it, but he didn't do either of those. He's going to Volt Switch out into Deoxys Speed as I Quiver Dance again. And I felt at this point that was a misplay, because I'm like, oh crap, I don't think I can take any hit from this Deoxys Speed anymore because of how low my Blossom's health is. But he's going to reveal Knockoff, knocks off my leftovers. We live on 32. He reveals he's Life Orb. I click Strength Sap to lower its attack, and I'm essentially back at full HP with the Strength Sap, which is ridiculous. So now I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's now in range of Giga Drain as he reveals Psycho Boost, but I'm at +2 Special Defense, and that did roughly 60 HP. Not even 60%, 60 HP. As I go for Giga Drain, we knocked out the Deoxys Speed. This cannot be happening right now. All he has left is this Thunderous, which is going to come in on rocks. The only way he can bring this back, he has the T-Bolt crit para into full para, and T-Bolt para again. He gets the crit, doesn't get paralyzed. Blossom is going to go for HP Ice, take out the Thunderous, and we are going to win 1-0 with Blossom. Oh my god, what in the world was that ending? I have no words to describe how that ending turned out. Good lord, like like, of all the things that, all the scenarios that popped up during this battle, the last thing on my mind was winning in the late game with Blossom, and lo and behold, it happened. But just to backtrack to a few of the unfortunate stuff that happened during the game. Obviously, there was there was hacks on both sides with the Thunderous crit, but unfortunately, my hacks ended up mattering more than his because I froze the Hippowdon. If it wasn't frozen, it literally would have just came down to Hippowdon not getting flinched by Ironhead. And like I said before, if I won because the Hippowdon stayed frozen while my Aegislash went for went for +2 Ironhead, I literally would have just Shadow Sneaked the Deoxys Speed, Shadow Sneaked the Thunderous, and I would have won. I think it would have been like a 3-0 at that point. Luckily, that did not come to pass, but this alternate conclusion of where it's a Blossom, like, I literally brought the Blossom to make sure I had a backup response to Excadrill. We were talking about it at the end of the game. He was considering that had the crit not happened with the Excadrill and the Shadow Sneak, that he would have won with Excadrill. As he revealed, he had X-Scissor on the Excadrill, but unfortunately for him, he wasn't one-shotting my Blossom because I was Fizz-Def, or I had a sizable amount of physical defense on my Blossom, and I would have Strength Sapped that same turn he went for X-Scissor, so he literally had to crit me in order to knock out my Blossom from essentially 88%. I would have just Strength Sap, Quiver Dance, rinse, repeat, to the point where I would have Giga Drain, got that health back, and I'm not going to say that Blossom still had a chance to win at that point, but I can't really go into what-ifs, man. Like, the ending of this game by itself was just wild. Beyond my wildest dreams. The comparison of hypotheticals, I cannot go into that. I cannot stress how this game ended, or how this game would have turned out had the hacks not happened, obviously, but I can't really say, I don't have any control over how the battle is going to progress, but in all my battles, in my time of Draft League competitive play, I never would have thought I'd say the words, I won a Draft League game with a Blossom. Well, any low tier mon like that, but Blossom. This was bashed on so hard in the draft stream, considering it was an Unmon. Why didn't I pick up Tangela if I wanted a grass type? This right here is the reason for Blossom on this team. Strength Sap plus Quiver Dance is no joke, and despite the fact that it's not the strongest, it's not the best, you should never underestimate a Pokemon because it's considered an Unmon in Draft League format. This game should serve testament to that aspect, that Blossom is here and it means business. With that out of the way, though, I'm not going to bash my opponent. Danza's a fantastic guy. He's a great person. Check out his side of the battle, all that stuff. His links will stuff be in the description down below. Of course, all the other coaches in the PCL. We're 3-0 on the back of Blossom picking up those final 2 kills. And nothing much else for me to say. I hope you guys did enjoy this battle. I know I enjoyed commentating it. Blossom means business. And until the next time, guys, this is Tone, signing out for now. Peace out.